What is up, party people? We got to the Holy Paladin today, or as I like to call it, the Shockadin. Alright, so this is my take on the modern day Shockadin, if you will. Big damn holy shocking, big damn healing. Is that a thing? Sure, why not? Let's just tell it how it is that I am having so much fun playing this class, especially in twos, really surprisingly in twos. Shuffle, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, Shuffle as a healer is what it is, but I think you'll really enjoy this. This is a little bit unique of a playstyle on here. It's just the markers twist on it all right, so just my typical markers disclaimer. This is the way I play. It is not the best way to play, maybe not for you, but it's a fun way to play, and I really recommend trying it out because maybe you'll have success with it, maybe more than me. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to talk about the stats, the gear, and then some gameplay, kind of how it all ties together. All right, so when it comes to the stats here, that is the interesting thing. So I took a book out of Mythic Plus. So I like to go towards Mythic Plus a lot of the times in terms of my builds and whatnot, because they sim the most damage. So if they're, especially in Mythic Plus healers, they want to be pumping the most damage possible. So I actually wanted a very similar stat priority to Mythic Plus, which is basically a little bit of everything. So it's haste is the most haste, second mastery, 20% crit, and then the rest of verse. So I'm running a little bit of everything right now. So currently in PvP, I'm looking at 20% crit, 23% haste, 44 mastery, and 14 verse currently. The haste is going to go down to around 20 because I do eventually want to get the badge that has crit on it, just for the on use with the Avenging Crusader, most likely. We'll see how things are playing out by then, but like I said, for the most part, haste is my #1 stat. Not by much if you look at the actual number values. I'm looking at 15k haste, 8k crit, 11k verse, and 12k mastery. So pretty even spread. Totally up to you. I mean, if you look at the top of the leaderboards or just in general, pretty much everybody's verse mastery. So feel free to just to do that. Haste just feels good. If you don't already know, pretty much every ability you have as a Holy Paladin is scales with haste. If you look in your spell book here, anything with a green number like Judgment there on the top right shows a number affected by haste. So the cooldown, it does drop the more haste that you have. Just a quick example here. So if I'm at 18% and then I go in combat here, it's at what, 9.3. It drops down to 8.9. So 0.4 seconds. That's just 4%. So if you have, actually, you know what? I can give you a real life example. Hold on. Once I drop combat here, I'm going to take off a bunch of haste, and you're going to see what the difference is, and why haste is actually really nice to play. So we're going to take this neck piece off and then this ring. So I'm going to drop down. It's going to drop me down to 9%. Maybe even take off one more, because that's probably more aligns with, let's take this off as well. So this is probably more on the lines of what people are running haste level wise. So going from 8.9 on the judgment cooldown to 10 seconds. So 1 second cooldown, you're getting 10% more judgments a game by playing this. And this also doubles down with faster Crusader Strikes, which give you faster judgments. And faster Crusader Strikes also are going to give you faster Holy Shocks. So 8.7 recharge on Holy Shock there. I put my haste gear back on. We're looking at more at a 7.7. So again, a second difference does make it up. It does help because also your GCDs are faster, so you're just getting more of these out. And the whole gist of this gameplay does revolve around having a lot of haste to get a lot of buttons out, because I mean, I don't know how y'all play without haste on Paladin. There are so many buttons to be pressed during melee wings or Avenging Crusader that I feel like I would just be like spamming so hard for nothing on without it. So that's why I like to play mostly haste on that. And again, a book taken out of Mythic Plus. All right, so that is the stats on there. I do want to run the 4 set. I just got it actually, and it's ideally I want the everything but the chest piece, but I happen to get this chest piece out of my vault, so that's what I have right now. So I may end up swapping that out, but for now we are running 4 set here. So just to know with the 4 set, I mean, there's really actually nothing to know, but Divine Toll more often. I mean, the cooldown reduction is really nothing, but Divine Toll is already important for the build, but now it's even more important because you are giving yourself insurance. And if you do, typically it's an A, Divine Toll is going to hit everything, so you will get triple insurance across the board. Nice little healing boost. It's nothing game breaking though. Let me look at one of these games here. Insurance 3.4%. And 3.8% again. Yeah, so it's like not that big of a deal. Anyway, I am running the energy redistribution for the embellishment, and then that's about it. Weapon enchant, I am running Radiant Power. You can also run Fiery Resolve, whichever one you want to do. If you're playing more offensive, probably get better benefit of Radiant Power because it gives you that. As long as you're doing damage, you can proc that intellect to give you both more damage and healing at the same time. All right, let's turn this down a little bit. So let's get back into this here. So we're gonna talk about the build next. So in terms of the build, this is what I play. I pretty much never change anything here, but there are definitely some points that you could certainly swap around if need be. All right, so on this build here, on this side here, the only things I'm gonna point out, I mean, pretty much cookie cutter, there's not really much else you could take. I do play Consecrated Ground because it's gonna, with playing this offensively, Consecration is gonna be a nice part of it. It is a 50% slow, and if you are running Righteous Judgment, you are going to proc these everywhere. And you also can combine that with Hallowed Ground, which removes snares on you and your allies in those judgments, can help you stay offensive as well as your teammates while doing this. So Judgment is key, or you are judgmenting. So Consecration actually has a much better value because that slow can really, really help out your teammates. And Pseudo Freedom. Just a quick note on the Divine Toll here. So Divine Toll, you 100% want the shorter cooldown because of Rising Sunlight, and also going along the sides of your tier set, you want as many Divine Tolls as possible. Those are massive, massive heals. On the long side of this side over here, on the spec side, I mean, also, wait, hold on. Last thing I would say, you could certainly just play Selfless Healer as well down here. It's really, I guess, no point of really playing this if you're not getting attacked. So kind of up to you if you do want to play this. I don't really cast at all. But I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. So that's up to you. What do you want to do? On the spec side of things, a couple talents that I do move around. So Shining Righteous is one that in twos I do run this. In Shuffle, I probably better off playing either Bestow Light, or you can even play Glistening Radiance, up to you, or you can even play Tower of Radiance, whatever you like. But I do recommend playing the same bottom talents. This is like the cookie cutter Avenging Crusader build. Pretty much no other options to even take here. Tears Deliverance is doo-doo paper. That thing has been nerfed so many times because of PvE purposes, so that it's really just not even good anymore. But Avenging Crusader is the way to go for this. I'm playing Herald, and the reason Avenging Crusader is better in my opinion for this is because of all the interactions with wings. So like when you proc your wings, you do link all your Dawn Lights. You do more Sun's Avatar healing and damage, as well as Dawn Light healing and damage. So having more wings, because obviously it's just half the cooldown, you're gonna get more procs of the wings, which will give you more Dawn Lights, which will give you more Sun's Avatar. It just feels and flows a lot smoother than something like Lightsmith. You can certainly play Lightsmith though. I think it works just as well. But when it comes to the damage side of things, I think I could probably pump a bit more on Herald just due to the Holy Shocks. Some of these Holy Shocks can absolutely pump due to the 200% proc. You also get increased crit chance, 5% crit chance, and you do have a dot / hot off of Holy Shocks. And Holy Shocks have a 50% chance to cast again at 30% effectiveness. And then also you get Divine Purpose, which gives you a free cast, which can be helpful for either healing or damage for extra denounces. So everything just feels better in terms of damage when we're talking about Herald. And also playing offensive, if you are playing Denounce like I do, if you get kicked on Denounce or any sort of holy cast, you can actually still cast Eternal Flame, which is a really, really nice plus. So get kicked on Denounce or Repentance, you could still heal with Eternal Flame, as well as maybe even Judgment or something like that. And then last thing I do want to mention on here, or two things I want to mention. So Crusaders might, do not forget about this. You want to be weaving this, as I'll talk about in the rotation part of it. Really, really important to make this gameplay a lot smoother and to take advantage of these crazy haste levels that you can have. Well, maybe not crazy. I mean, 20% is not that bad, not that big, but it just helps to smooth this to the gameplay and will really help your damage if you're trying to pump some damn. And then lastly, on tons of here, I know most people do play Awakening. To be honest, man, the Sanctified Wrath has been feeling really good, especially in terms of damage. I mean, we're talking about a 1 minute cooldown anyway, and by the time you get Awakening, especially in a lot of games, like maybe even Shuffle or twos, I'm getting maybe 1 proc a game. In Shuffle, a lot of times you don't get the proc at all, so I opted to take Sanctified Wrath and just prioritize Holy Shock a little bit more than I normally would, because you're getting 50% shorter cooldown and the duration is a little bit longer, so you get a little more out of it. All right. That is about it. Yeah, I mean, none of this stuff really impacts your gameplay. I mean, obviously Rising Sunlight, that make sure you are not overlapping these. So when you were using Divine Toll, use your 2 Holy Shocks and then use your wings. Try not to overlap them. I don't think they stack, right? Just double check that before I lie to you guys. One of them. I don't know. I mean, it said 3 after I did it. I don't know, is that what it usually? No, it should give you 2 and 2. Anyway, well, whatever. So there's that. Anything else I'm missing in terms of the build? I do play Holy Prism over it. It was recently buffed. I was playing it beforehand. And it's just really nice. You can use it offensively, defensively. It's just a really chunky heal slash damage. It does I've had 1 million crits on this in terms of damage, so really solid. Also on the note in terms of damage, Reclamation is badass, man. I've had some insanely high Holy Shock executes because the lower health the target is, the more damage your Holy Shock does. So I've hit 1.4, 1.5 million Holy Shocks, and sometimes if you do, if you are combining that with Rising Sunlight, with like a Divine Toll or Wings, you proc it 2 more times, and it's like you can hit like a 2-3 million Holy Shock as an execute. Really, really clutch. So whether you're playing super offensive or not, just something to know. You can throw out those Holy Shocks when a target's low and absolutely blast them and get kills off. When it comes to the PvP talents, I think Searing Glare is my only auto lock-in. Most times I do play Denounce. If there are casters, I swap out Hallowed Ground for Spell Warding. Potentially you could swap out Denounce if maybe like there's 2 casters on the other team and you're the only heal and there's no casters on your team, so every kick's going to you and maybe Denounce isn't worth it at that point. But I mean, Denounce is really crap, to be honest. The anti-crit does work for specific classes like Fire Mages, Windwalkers, Frost Mages, things that can get those auto crits or play really high crit. Also into other Holy Paladins, it's actually really nice because their class kind of functions off of critting with infusion of light procs, so just a nice thing to put in there. Some of these other ones, man, I don't really see too great of a use of them. You could play Cleanse of the Weak if you want. I know some people were trying out a Light of Dawn build with Empyrean Legacy. Haven't seen enough success with it, to be honest, to make me want to play it. And then I mean, if you really are worrying about mana in some games, you could play Divine Plea and play around that, maybe like in a 3v3 setting, because I don't think Shuffle you would ever get to that point. So yeah, all right. So that is it in terms of the build. Now let's get into the gameplay. All right. So the gameplay is very APM heavy if you want to do this in terms of damage. So I'm going to talk about I'm going to break this up into 2 different parts. So one is going to be more of a twos focus rotation, and the other is more of a shuffle, more cautious time to play style. Okay. So in terms of doing damage, all you're going to be doing is following a simple priority list, right? So in terms of the general rotation, not counting any cooldowns, Holy Prism always needs to be hit. Okay, always getting these off because they function with your Dawn Lights, right? So you want to hit these and then maybe throw out your Dawn Lights. Onto myself here. Keep these Dawn Lights going. They are massive healing, and if you do combo those with the Avenging Crusader, you're going to see that you shoot out the lights, you're going to do a lot more healing off them. But make sure you are getting those off. So Holy Prism or Barrier Faith, if you're running that #1 priority, get that out. And then after that, Judgment, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike. Fill with Eternal Flames. Okay, and then obviously you can use this, your cooldowns as need be. When it comes to Wings, actually same thing. Judgment's a priority, Holy Shock second, Crusader Strike third. All right, and even in Wings, I do overcap my Holy Power sometimes just because I don't need to heal because melee Wings is also healing. All right, so in terms of playing aggressive, I play in all the time, and you will be surprised how many freaking Holy Shocks you can do. All right, so might place Holy Shock there off the rip, or Holy Prism, and if I can actually Denounce offensively, get that Dawn Light on him, and then maybe I'll pop the other one on myself. I'll pop my Wings here, and then I'm Holy Shocking, and then Crusader Strike, reset that, Holy Shock there, Judgment's up, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Judgment, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Judgment, or Holy Shock, Judgment, Crusader Strike, more Holy Shocks. You can see without Crusader's Might / Haste, you're not going to be able to get these many buttons off. And these buttons do pump. They do the pump, both healing and damage-wise. But that is my general rotation, and I will just keep that going at all times. Spamming Holy Shock offensively or defensively. Typically, I'm just always Holy Shocking offensively, and then using every WOG defensively. I will not use the heals or the Holy Shocks defensively unless I'm really pressured, but we're talking about twos here. Typically you're not pressured much at all, and you could just kind of push the limit. You have such incredible cooldowns to just save your ass. I've been playing extremely risky, so like getting myself down, if we're getting a lot of pressure going and I don't want to stop, I might even just let my target go down to 10% and just lay on hands him and just keep going and just don't heal him. So definitely an option for you. You can use Bop in that way, or Spell Warding, because you have a fallback or a fall safe to kind of recover without having to worry about it. So just constantly doing damage. Holy Prism out, maybe weave in some Denounces. Let's say I throw in a Divine Toll, make sure I use those Holy Shocks. Throwing out some heals, go in melee Wings, pump in there. Holy Shock, get my Crusader Strikes, get some stuff back. Okay, Judgment. I got two Holy Shocks there. Press both those Holy Shocks. Nothing else. I press Crusader Strike, Judgment, or Holy Shock, Holy Shock again. And then when I get nothing else, then I Crusader Strike, Judgment, Holy Shock, another Crusader Strike. You get the idea. And then Holy Prism's back up. Maybe throw on more Denounces. But it's just a simple rotation with that, and you just keep spamming it. And use the Eternal Flames. Try to keep as many Eternal Flames up as you can. Preferably if you are like overcapping and stuff, pop them a lot in the beginning so that you can keep them up, because the more hots you have, the more chance to proc your Blessing of Anshees, which gives you those massive Holy Shocks to do big damage or big heal, and they can do some work. So, I mean, that's kind of just a bit. I'd never touched Hammer of Wrath. Anything else in terms of the rotation wise? I don't think so. I think that's about it. Make sure you're pressing Holy Prism. Get these Dawn Lights out. I typically try to use the Dawn Lights for healing. The damage isn't that great, to be honest. I would say they are very good healing, though. So definitely something to work out for in there. I think that's about it in terms of the like 2v2 rotation. Okay, so switching over to like a solo shuffle environment. Just because you play melee wings does not mean you need to play melee. Okay, so with that said, let's say I'm playing let's say I'm playing with all casters, and I don't want to just be pushing in there and getting myself fucked up by CC. What you can do, certainly you're not going to get the best benefit out of Crusader's Might. Maybe you can swap, maybe you want to swap this out for I don't know, Veneration or Power of the Silver Hand or something like that, if you feel like you're never going to. But sometimes you could even like, hit pets, totems and stuff like that, and it could really help you out. But in general, you can do all of this stuff from range except for Crusader Strike, right? So even the melee wings. So if I'm playing from far, I can maybe throw on the Holy Shock. I throw out some heals to myself, doing all that. Judgment, maybe throw another Holy Shock, and throw on a Denounce, my heals. I could do my Divine Toll. Let's say I pop my wings here. Did overlap, like I said, but you could just pop a ton of Holy Shocks. Yes, you're going to have these gaps, unfortunately, without Crusader Strike, but you can certainly just do all of this, and you can do a ton of healing. Throw in Denounces here, and Holy Shocks. You have so many Holy Shocks with this much haste and the reset with Herald that you can do quite a lot of healing and quite a lot of damage without ever having to push in. So just keep that in mind. You certainly don't have to push in and play super zuggy. I prefer to in twos because you can make a big difference with reps, kicks, keeping consecrations on the target to keep them slowed, but just know, usually it's typically when you're versing stuff that has really heavy CC, you don't want to be sitting in there all the time, but I've had a lot of games where I just chill in there the whole entire game. I'm just on top of everybody, because and then they start getting confused, they start going me. I can typically get like a pretty fast cast Repentance Juke on them, continue to heal. Some little nuances that if you don't already know, when you are silenced, you can use both of these. So just like, for example, Frost Decay, right? So Frost Decay might pop you, grip you in there and then blind you. Sometimes while I'm in air, while I'm getting gripped in, I'll try to press melee wings, because typically out of the blind, what do they press? Silence. You can, during that silence, you will have Judgment and Crusader Strike to still hit for healing, to keep yourself afloat without having to force a trinket. So a little nice thing to do there. And then, like I talked about earlier, do not be afraid to just cast in front of people's faces when you're playing Herald, because you know you have Eternal Flame to heal with, and you also can obviously Judgment and Crusader Strike while kicked as well. So blatantly just going for Denounces in their face, get kicked, who cares? Go back to doing DPS, maybe throw in a heal. Your thing ends, now you get a free cast, right? Oh, that just reminded me of another bugged interaction, by the way. If you denounce into Holy Prism, it eats that Divine Purpose, which is not supposed to do that. So just a note, I would not chain Denounce into Holy Prism first, and then Denounce if you do want to use that Dawn Light offensively. All right, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about every single cooldown. Use Sack to immune CC. Use Glare a lot. Okay, definitely use that Searing Glare as much as you can. It's really important cooldown to use. I'm still don't use it enough, but right off the rip, most melee are just gonna run in and press every cooldown. You could try to prep a Searing Glare right off the rip on that. That helps with healing a ton and helps with that offensive pressure. And people would love to kick that, so just be ready to juke it pretty quick. All right, yeah, that's about it. Alrighty, y'all. Hope y'all learned something. Looking forward to showing you guys some content, some gameplay in there. So have a good day. Thanks for watching.